Okay, now our next guest knows two of these activists personally, and he's worried not only for their safety, but also for the safety of all pro-democracy activists abroad. Cheuk Kwan is the co-chair of the Toronto Association for Democracy in China. He joins us tonight from Ottawa. Chuck, first off, thank you very much for taking the time. In that report by Sarah Levitt, we saw the protests from 2019 and 2020 that were trying to prevent this very thing, this Article 23. And now we're seeing that very law in action. 6 warrants issued, 2 of them for Canadians. How concerning is this news to you to actually see this law now in motion?
Well, we have always known that this law will extend to Canada no matter where these people are or no matter what your nationality is. In this sense, it is not a surprise to us. It is a kind of deep down kind of feeling is that it really cuts down to the core of overreach, of extraterritorial overreach by China or Hong Kong into Canada, and with that, an overreach into influencing our civil society in Canada, including elections.
Overreach seems to be the intent, the purpose of the law. Certainly, Amnesty International has listed several concerns with it. The fact that someone could go to jail for up to 10 years simply for criticizing the government, jail for not reporting others as well. It encourages people to essentially snitch on their neighbors. And there's more powers to target absconders, which would be people who've left the country and criticized it, like the 6 people we're talking about today. Now, you know 2 of those Canadian activists, or those 2 Canadian activists personally. What can you tell us about them and their activism?
Well, they have been fairly openly critical of what's going on in Hong Kong. One of them is Victor Ho, is a former editor of a Chinese language newspaper here in Canada, in Vancouver. He has also formed a so-called a kind of Hong Kong Legislative Council. It's kind of as a replacement for the real one. With like-minded folks around the world, including Australia, UK, and the US. The other more surprising person is Joe Tay. He's an entertainer. He's a singer. He plays nice, beautiful guitar. Although his sin is that he set up a Hong Kong station, a web radio station, in which he hosted in Canada, right here, and in which he hosted a bunch of people online as speakers. So in that sense, he's helping. He's even more so-called quote unquote sinful in terms of Hong Kong's eyes, because he's broadcasting a lot of things on the web without any China control. So this is something that to them is very dangerous.
Mr. Tay is also running for the opportunity to be in politics here in Canada. Do you think that plays a part in today's decision by Hong Kong?
I think there's no doubt that they're playing a part, because he's hoping to run as a candidate for the Conservative Party. And I know we all know that how China do not want the Conservative to be perhaps winning in the next federal election. And they'll go all out to stop. This is a pre-warning. Basically, he hasn't even been nominated to represent the party. However, this has served as a warning, because he's also running into very heavily ethnic Chinese riding in Macau. And this is something that our China wants to make sure that they have the right candidate in place, instead of anybody but Joe Tay, for example.
It's interesting, given all the talk over the last couple of years about foreign interference. Now, I understand you've also been in touch with Victor Ho today. What has he shared with you?
Well, I've been working with Victor Ho in the Foreign Interference Commission. He has given testimonies at the commission to the commissioner. So he has a lot of things to review about China's influencing in the Chinese media right here in Canada. So his testimonies were very valuable, and we're hoping that it would contribute to a good commission report on foreign interference in Canada.
I would assume there's still some concern about the people here, even though they live in Canada, that somehow they could be reached. They probably feel a little bit safer not being there in Hong Kong, but certainly not 100% safe. Here in Canada, how would you ideally like the government to respond to these warrants?
I think we have to have first of all, I think we have to have a sanction against Hong Kong officials, because they're the ones with property in Canada. They're the ones who's going to suffer if we place sanctions on them. The government did place sanctions on a lot of people early this month, but these are all mostly Chinese officials who have no interest in Canada, so it doesn't do anything to them. And this is something that I think we can, hit their pocketbook. But I think on a personal basis, I think there's also an accident. There's also little worry that somebody is going to tell the Chinese authorities where you live, or how they can reach you. And somebody not related to China can just say, oh, I'm going to just do this to show people that, show my boss, basically show your mafia boss that, like, look, I can help you with this. I can get this guy, I can harass this guy or even hurt the guy. So in that sense, this is something that we all live in fear, and we want Canada to be more vigilant. We want RCMP to have more power, enforcing power, and we want Canada especially to run a foreign agent registry to make sure that there is sufficient warning to those who try to do something in Canada that is harmful to our country's interest.
I think Canadians can certainly understand the concern. Cheuk Kwan, thank you so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate your insight on this issue. That's Cheuk Kwan, co-chair of the Toronto Association for Democracy in China. Thank you.